Hey, what's up, Coach?
Hi.
How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. You mind if I ask you a couple questions?
Of course.
Awesome. So for everyone that's listening here, what is your name and how long have you been coaching?
Yeah, so my name is Coach Emma, and I have been coaching for about 5 months now.
Awesome. Now, before that, have you had any experience working with kids in different settings or anything?
Yes, I would say more in the academic
Okay.
educational setting. I've worked in preschools. I've also volunteered at elementary schools as like a college student, and I've just been in different academic type settings.
No, that's cool. So think about that for a second. So what is something that you've maybe taken away from those academic settings that you've been able to bring with you here as a coach and that you use on a regular basis?
Yeah, so I would say that especially for young kids, language is very important, and the way that you portray yourself and the way that you say things verbally is so important to young kids. They can comprehend more than we would think, especially for those little tiny young kids. And so I would say that, yeah, language is the most important thing, and that's probably what I've used the most in my coaching.
Yeah, I love that. And something I've learned as well is not only just the language, but the words you use. Words are so impactful. For example, I don't like to use the word like this is hard because sometimes people hear this is hard and like, oh, it's hard. I can't do it.
Right.
Versus this is going to be challenging. People want to be challenged, but sometimes just that word hard is like scary. So that's just, I like how you say that. So awesome. So now, have you had any coaches or mentors in your past that have really impacted you? And if so, what is something that you've taken from that person that you again use here?
Yeah, so I would say I grew up as a cheerleader, and I would say that one of my cheerleading coaches was a very good mentor, and the way that they coached me was great. And I feel like they did very good with the language part. Even though something might have been challenging for me, they understood and they kind of adapted to my style. So they knew that something would be challenging for me, and they didn't push me too hard while pushing me to be the best that I could. And so that is something that I would love to replicate at one point during my coaching career, is that adaptability of different children's strength and knowing when they've like reached their limit.
Yeah, so they kind of met you where you were.
Yeah.
And so this is where you are, this is what you now need to develop, which I think it's awesome. Now, for a different set of viewers, for people that maybe have never heard of Kid Strong, don't know anything that we do here at Kid Strong, what is something that you want them to know about Kid Strong that is really, really you appreciate the most?
Yeah, so I think one of the most like unique things that we do here is I feel like people that know about Kid Strong, at least like a little bit, but like don't know overall like what we do, they mostly just think of us as like, oh, they do like obstacle courses, or at least that's what I've heard from parents that I've met when they hear like, oh, you work at Kid Strong. But I think something that's very unique that we do that they don't think about is like our social learning. We work on emotional literacy. We do the kids and they work on ordering their own food. So we have a lot of different things that are set up to work on that social development, and kids become so confident and so like well-rounded individuals, as well as obviously the physical strength and the confidence in everyday strengths and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's great. And final question, and I want you to think about that tipping point between a good and a great coach. What is that differentiator that makes a good coach a great coach?
I feel like I would kind of just go back to what I was saying previously with the language and adaptability and putting it all together. Once you get to the point where you know your kids well enough, I feel like it is your job as the coach to adapt to how your kids are. And once you have kind of seen them in many different settings, you can kind of see their different levels. And yeah, the adaptation and the language and the verbal cues and everything that you give them, I think that that's also great. Also, parent involvement. Here at Kid Strong, we have a lot of parents that always stick by. So parent involvement would also be another one that would be very helpful, because parents like to feel very involved in their kids' progress and everything.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Cool.